Hello people, you can call me Ishmael, and I'm here to talk about the video game that means the most to me. Not my favorite game, that's Fable from the original Xbox. Not the game that cemented me as a gamer. That's The Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time from the Nintendo 64. The game that means the most to me is Mass Effect. But I didn't fully appreciate it, what Mass Effect was, not just the game, but the series actually was, until I actually finished it, until several years to be exact, after I played Mass Effect 3 to the end, did it finally hit me what I had actually gone through. Mass Effect is the great space opera of our generation. What do I mean by ours? I include everyone from the youngest members of Gen X to the millennials in the middle, which I'm a part of, and the oldest members of Generation Z. Mass Effect belongs to us. It's our space opera. Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, the string of sci-fi shows from the 90s to the early 2000s, like Andromeda, Lex, Firefly. I know I'm missing a lot of stuff. These were not made for us. They were made for the prior generation. We just kind of inherited them. Mass Effect was made for us. It was made by people, even though some of them were probably part of the older generations, who sat down, used all the lessons, techniques, tropes, and genre conventions of the sci-fi, particularly the space opera variety, that had come before them, and used it to make something new. That something new was Mass Effect. I sincerely believe that if we could look into an alternate universe, use fringes, dimensional windows, or the multiversal cable from Rick and Morty, if we could do this somehow, we would find that in the mid-2000s, a space opera trilogy was released. It was a blockbuster like something people hadn't seen since the original Star Wars. I mean, even George Lucas came out and commented and said, at last somebody has finally picked upon and picked what I was doing and carried it forward. And that trilogy of films would look a hell of a whole lot like Mass Effect. But in addition to being our generation's great space opera, Mass Effect is something else. An example of nominative determinism. And if you don't know the term, nominative determinism is the name that people wind up being drawn to jobs that have a similarity to their names. Go a few layers down, take it into the realm of the metaphysical. You can even take it as the idea that your name shapes your fate. And Mass Effect is an example of that. Mass Effect has had a mass effect on our modern landscape of sci-fi film and television. Hell, just art in general. It makes sense. A lot of the people who played Mass Effect when it first released, especially if they were growing up as the games were being released, have filtered in to the sci-fi film and television and concept art industries. Since they can't have it managed yet to make a Mass Effect film, they start trying to put as much Mass Effect as they can into all the projects they work on. I mean, we all have our influences, and inspiration is in some ways cyclical. You get an idea, it inspires you, then you go on to inspire somebody else. It all feeds back into each other, and all of those ideas go back into whatever inspired whatever came before you, and inspires so forth and so on into infinity. But what gets me is that there are people in the industry who, no matter how blatant they are, aren't going to cop to their influences. If you've seen the last 10 to 15, hell, probably maybe even 20 by now, years of sci-fi film and television, you've been seeing Mass Effect. The robot from the Lost in Space reboot is Legion. So much of the weapons, armors, and interfaces we see in modern sci-fi is Mass Effect. The Martian Navy from The Expanse, an excellent series by the way, looks like and feels like the Systems Alliance military from Mass Effect. When I saw the bridge of the Donager, I was expecting Admiral Hackett to pop up on vidcoms. That is how Mass Effect it felt. On a side note, Earth's military in The Expanse feels a lot like the military of Halo, though it's Mars that has the powered armor. Now the real obvious, blatant, unmissable to anybody who played Mass Effect 1, 2, 3 references comes from the entire plot of the first season of Star Trek Picard. Spoilers, it is revealed that the central villains in Star Trek Picard are motivated by the fact that the founder of their organization found an alien artifact which cut visions of a machine apocalypse on the scale of the galaxy, wiping out all life into their minds, and that has driven their actions ever since. The Reapers are now canon to Mass Effect. And oh yeah, in the last episodes of Star Trek Picard Season 1, those robots show up. The next most blatant example is towards the end of Star Trek Discovery Season 2. Don't remember which episode. I think it's episode 8 or 9. Spoilers. In either episode 8 or 9, I'm almost certain it's 9, the crew attack a Section 31 base. When they get there, they appear in a field of debris and drones, and the little drones that attack them look, sound, and maneuver like the Oculus drone that attacks you after you've gone through the Omega-4 relay in Mass Effect 2. Hell, the entire strike on the Section 31 base feels like everyone involved just has played the suicide mission from Mass Effect 2. Like I said before, inspiration is kind of cyclical, so the fact that the whole tail end of Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery is just a blatant reference to the end of Mass Effect 2 doesn't really bother me. What bothers me is that I get the feeling that the people who made it wouldn't admit under torture what they had done. I mean, we all have sources, just admit it. You played the suicide mission for Mass Effect until you could get through and keep your entire team alive. Admit it. The next biggest example of Mass Effect influence I can think of is basically the now canceled, thankfully, adaptation of Halo, the Halo show. It's clear that the writers of the Halo show and its producers were major Mass Effect fans. Really wish they'd have actually fought to get the license for Mass Effect instead of trying to retrofit Halo into being close to Mass Effect. They don't fit. Mass Effect. Never have I seen something more aptly named. Well, that's all I can think of to say about this subject. I should go. Before I do the obligatories, like, comment, subscribe. And until my next video, peace.